Gentlemen, to the Call of Duty World League presented by the PlayStation 4.
The 16 best teams in the world
with $700,000 up for grabs. Every day, these guys are grinding, they're practicing, they're strategizing, they're waiting for this.
We have got the world's elite here. This is the final stage in the Global Pro League. This is do or die.
I think people are going to come with a purpose. It honestly could be anyone.
There's going to be a lot of competition.
We're playing the best teams in the world, so every match is a grind.
Do not do this! Oh my God, Aqua, what have you just done?
Varsity's locking this down for E-United.
Oh my God! They just smoked them!
That's gonna be enough for Red Reserve to make it to stage 2.
Win the game in the most dramatic fashion!
Anything in this game could happen.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Call of Duty Global Pro League presented by the PlayStation 4. We are live with Week 3, Day 3, the final day of the week's action. It all comes down to this. And there's a couple of interesting scenarios coming into the final day. My name is, of course, Benson. I'm going to be hosting the studio throughout Day 3. Joining me, as always, is my expert panel, Call of Duty World Champ TP, former European professional player Momo in the middle, and COD XP champion at the end there, Merc. But seems we're kickstarting the day. Let's recap exactly where we stand. We'll take a look at our group standings coming into Day 3. We had a couple of good games yesterday, but I mean, E-United, they sit pretty at the top, 3-1. I think it's fair to say, Merc, they've impressed with the new addition of Clay.
Yeah, absolutely. I think their one fault was obviously against Red Reserve yesterday, and that caught a lot of people by surprise. But E-United Splyce, they're handling business, but a big day today. Yeah,
you talk about E-United, or sorry, you talk about Europe Splyce. A couple of cracks definitely showing, Momo.
Yeah, I mean, first things first, that day one, they were getting 100-point club. They weren't looking like themselves. But yesterday, they looked back, you know, in form. You know, they came out with a 2-0 yesterday, and I think they'll come into today a lot more confident. I think, you know, the likes of Mad Cat and Jerd, the veterans he was showing, great to see.
And although Red Reserve are 2-2, TP, it still very much is all to play for.
Oh, 100%. They're obviously the best team at forcing those map 5 scenarios. They're search and destroy. Very good. And this second match of the day that we're going to get when they face up against E-United is going to be absolutely huge in terms of them having that chance to qualify. So I think that's the match we're all sort of looking forward to in that regard. But they got to be, it's scary going to that many map 5s. They need to figure out their respawn a bit better.
Of course, a disappointing weekend for Rise Nation 0-4. They have no chance of making it to Stage 2 playoffs, but they can definitely play spoiler to some of the teams that they play today. And let's not forget the importance of seeding as well. It is going to be crucial going into Call of Duty World Championship in a few weeks' time. So that third place, which they could steal, could be absolutely massive. So if they come out today and go 2-4, it would be a good day at the office for them, that's for sure. But we'll talk now a little bit about who impressed you guys and maybe who didn't impress you so much. Merc, I'm gonna start with you. I believe you went at Shawnee is who impressed you the most?
Yeah, I did, and this might surprise a lot of people, but you gotta give somebody from Red Reserve some love. And Shawnee, he's been sort of their most consistent player all year long. I remember when I first saw him on Elevate at Vegas, I was like, who is this guy? He was very impressive, but you know, doing a very good job during this week. Obviously that S&D could be improved, but slaying is there.
Momo, looking at you now, wouldn't surprise me, the European bias kicking through. You got 2 teams this week. Who'd you got?
I had to pick Mad Cat, and I just feel like his slaying side of things was just on point. Yeah. He had a bit of a, I'm not going to say a poor day one because he kind of was the consistent one, but yesterday he seemed to step it up. He was dragging his teams through hard points. He was dropping numbers, incredible amounts of numbers, that is, but it's just his overall kind of personality was kind of put into that kind of team, and I think it's showing through the rest of him right now, especially when Bance and Zero maybe struggle a little bit.
Mad Cat's definitely showed his veterancy, if that's even a word, I'm not even sure it is. TV, moving over to you, I know the first couple of days, Momo actually went at Prastini. I think that's going to be your pick as well.
Yeah, 100%. Prastini for me on the E-United side. I've been, you know, kind of on the Clay bandwagon in that regard, but I think Prastini's really stepped it up, being that aggressive player on the team. Yes, that SDKD does fall just below 1.0, but I think the amount of first blood confrontations he has on the map for these guys Rise is just so important. He's just been snapping lately, to be honest. And then Uplink in specific, the fact that he's able to put on so much pressure single-handedly really on the team. The rest of the teammates, aren't the most aggressive players. So the fact that he's able to play so fast and still have some pretty decent stats, very impressive for me. And since Gunless being gone now, I feel like he seems like he's playing a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, definitely looks that way. But of course, every coin has two sides. Now let's get to the not so good performances. Merc, I'm gonna start with you. I'm pretty sure you went with the same pick you had day one.
Yeah, I went with somebody from Rise, big shocker here. I went with Vicento. Just not a good day for Rise at all, and you can see right here. This was a tough day, 0.7 overall, 16 slaying. The S&D even worse, just not good numbers at all. Day one, I felt he was pretty solid. He was consistent, but yesterday, that just fell apart. Aqua was really the only player who stepped up big time.
Yeah, and as you guys can see, that's my pick as well. I think it's hard to kind of... That Slayer rating is the number that kind of sticks out to me, even though the KD and S&D doesn't look good. But you got to remember, that was your Vegas MVP. That was the guy who was lights out, one of the best players in the game at that time. And I just feel like something's missing. Yeah, the meta's kind of changed in the game, but I don't think those stats should be for Centos. I think they should be better.
Definitely shouldn't. TP will move forward now with your pick. I assume another Rise Nation player.
Yeah, 100%. And the reason I'm going with Looney today is the fact that he had such a good day one. We go into day two yesterday, and he completely fell off. Someone on this team needs to step up in tandem with one another. Aqua was there yesterday. Looney and Vicento were there day one. And the fact that Looney just kind of dropped off yesterday, that S&D KD is way too low. The Slayer number is actually decent at 20, but the fact that these guys aren't getting consistent slaying numbers, someone has to do it. I think the roles are just all sort of jumbled up on this team. No one really knows how to, or who wants to step up and be that leader, who wants to run an SMG, who's really comfortable running any sort of role. And it's a giant mess for them, to be honest.
Yeah, and when you just talk about Rise, they obviously have 2 games today. They're not going to make playoffs, but this is your team for champs, right? So you have to figure that out. This is the best time to do it. You're getting practice on against some of the best teams in the world. Figure it out here.
You guys have mentioned it pretty much all weekend. It just seems like they're not all clicking at the same time. Day 3 here, as I mentioned earlier on, you're still playing for seeding come Call of Duty World Championships. So if there was a time to click, it would be right now. But we'll take a look at our schedule for the day, so you know exactly when your favorite teams are going to be competing throughout day 3 here. We can see kicking things off, Rise Nation versus Splyce. Then I think, Teep, you mentioned the second game of the day, E United versus Red Reserve. Red Reserve is back-to-back. They have Rise Nation at 5 p.m. And to close out the day, E United versus Splyce. Obviously, the results for the first couple of games are going to affect the importance of the later games, but we'll talk a little bit now about that first game of the day, Splyce versus Rise. Teep, does Rise finally find a series win?
Well, I don't want to really count out Rise completely, but it's just... Every time in Pro League we get to this sort of scenario, it's like, what does Rise really have to play for at this point? But I feel like they really need to figure things out. Yes, they have champs. They need to, I want them to switch up roles. Now's the time. I hate when teams just, get smacked over and over again and you don't see anything different from them. So maybe Vicento using a different weapon. Maybe Aqua switching to an NV4. Really anything so they can find something that works. They had a somewhat decent day one. They should have taken the first series versus Splyce. They have a very slim chance, but you got to point towards
I mean, to touch on that a little bit, when your main AR Slayer rating is at 16, Merc, I mean, it's definitely not going to be easy on the rest of the guys.
No, not at all. I mean, it's just to that point now where you have to sort of figure it out, and you have to, I mean, we were talking about yesterday. If nobody wants to run an NV4, why do it? Do whatever the heck you want to do. When we made our Ghosts, champs run, it was just like, do whatever you want. As soon as we lost that first winners round, we were just like, screw it. What makes us most comfortable? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. You saw the maps there, remember? How does it kind of balance out for Splyce?
I look at them and I see some of Splyce's best maps. I really do. Frost Uplink is in there. S&D Breakout, they were a little bit shaky on yesterday, but through the year they've been very good. I just kind of favor Splyce after seeing those maps even more.
Fair enough. Well, that's going to be everything from the studio for now. We can send it down to our fantastic casters for the series. None other than Puckett and Courage.
Thanks so much, Benson. Courage, it's time to get this party started. And we know Rise, really at this point, they're playing for 3rd place. We should talk about what that means in the grand scheme of things. Yes, their Stage 2 playoff run, it's done. They're not going to playoffs. But they can set themselves up for success in the biggest tournament of the year. Still $1.5 million up for grabs at Champs.
You got to remember, these guys, they're staying together. No matter what happens here through COD Champs, they have to remain focused. They can't go too far off the deep end with tilting and kind of losing sight of their vision and goal to, end the year with a solid victory, potentially at Champs. Remember, these guys won our first major event back in Vegas. What a fall from grace they've had. On the other side of the stage, a team that's really picked up the pace since the early part of the year, Splyce. They're looking to continue to cruise. A victory here will keep them secured in that first place spot as the day goes on.
Now we know the team that finishes 4th on each week of the group stages, they're going to have to play one of the squads that finishes top 4 in stage 2.
Yep.
You don't want to match up that early against a juggernaut squad in groups, so finishing 3rd would be key for Rise. They need to start it off with a big win over Splyce right here. And looking at the games yesterday, Rise, they look great in the Search and Destroy Crusher. It was Aqua dropping bombs to finish. I believe it was double digits. He got fully streaked out in that Crusher Search and Destroy, but everything else was a one-sided affair. And you look at the overall numbers for the weekend, Felony has 69 more deaths than kills. Vicento, he is -24. Looney's +1. Aqua, their best statistical player, is only about +8, I believe. So you need more slaying. You have to outslay Splyce, and we've seen teams do it to him on this map in particular.
Felony has had probably one of the worst weekends of his entire career. He's going to want to forget about this one for a long time after this. But here we go. It's our first match of the final day of the yellow group. Rise Nation versus Splyce, and we're watching one of the players that impressed our analysts yesterday, Mad Cat with the NV4.
I've been so impressed by Mad Cat just throughout this entire season in the Splyce jersey. He shows he can do it all with all weapons. To start things off, though, it's Rise Nation winning your opening fights, and this guy who's had a terrible tournament up to this point, Felony's starting off 3-0.
Hey, that's what you want to see. All he did was push right towards Showers, try to get early control of that area so his teammate in the hard point could be safe. I like the play there. It gave Vicento the peace of mind to be able to just sit in that hill. That's why he's already got 17 seconds on the board. Oops. Unfortunate team kill there on the Looney, but either way, Rise Nation with a flawless start.
At least there's a headshot on Looney. Vicento finds the melee on 0. Waiting for help, goes for the challenge and wins it anyway against Bance. Vicento somehow surviving, and it's Rise who will be topping 30 points first as we move on to our next hardpoint.
So Rise Nation's biggest struggle so far this weekend in respawns, especially hardpoint, which has been statistically their worst game mode right there with Search and Destroy, has been their lack of kills. It's simple as that. They just haven't been able to slay. The reason they picked up Looney was to try to get better in matching teams in slaying and respawns. That hasn't been the case so far this weekend. Felony, someone who consistently is pretty even for this team, has been abysmal, and that's been their biggest standout so far. Vicento still has yet to die as well. Rise up 46-3.
Rise has played 4 matches. They've only won 1 of their 7 hard points. This would be a big victory to start things off on Breakout. And it was looking good early, but Jack, somehow Splyce just reclaims the preferred spawns. They have control of the map. How did they get that last break?
They flood 3 through middle map. They wind up using that as their main way to push on through. Then they have a delayed flank on that outer wall run, which then catches the, backside of the Rise Nation players. Turn towards them, easy kills, easy cleanup. From then on out, they get the rest of the time. One thing I do want to say, caught up with Bance prior to this match. Brought up saying, give me something to say about this game. What are your expectations for map 1? He goes, well, Jack, it's Breakout hardpoint. It's looking slow. I think that's the reason why Splyce lacks some confidence on this map.
Bance has pulled out the ERAD for the Graveyard. Meanwhile, on the other side, it's Felony locking it down. AR in hand, and he's using the Scarab to scout, does some damage, and actually finds the kill on the injured Mad Cat. His teammates pushing forward as you see Rise spreading out perfectly, but Aqua is going to fall, and he was your guy watching the back line. So Splyce is going to hit you from both angles. It's going to put a lot of pressure on Vicento, who handles not only Bance, but finds 0 as well.
Brilliant play from Vicento. Went to go call in his Scarab to push it towards that spiral side. Realized his teammate who was watching the flank and middle died, so he manually exploded it, got his gun back up and ready, picks up the 2-piece there. That play just gave Rise Nation another 25 seconds.
We talked about Vicento's negative numbers coming into the day. Same thing with Felony. Both players at this point are positive, both on a streak. Felony 4 kills in a row. Vicento will be cleaned up after 2 in a row. But Looney taking over his position with the NV4. There's a low wall run, and Zero is going to get spotted and executed. Great reaction shown by Looney.
Don't get me wrong, this is not Splyce's best map, but right now Rise Nation are shooting the way Rise Nation should. They're actually, challenging gunfights, playing with confidence, working as a team, hitting their shots. That's why they have 3 players positive. And you mentioned Aqua. Statistically, their best. He's having a slow start. If he picks it up, I think this game's going to get out of hand.
This is the exact opposite of what you saw when Rise played Splyce yesterday. It was Aqua doing all of the work. No one else positive on the squad. I think if you have 3 of the 4 guys going positive and Aqua's your weak link, this is the ideal scenario for Rise.
And look, they still have a Scarab watching the outer wall run. Vicento picking up the mid cuts. Everything going right for Rise Nation at the moment. Already an 80-second lead. Looney's on a 7 streak as well.
He needs this kill though, Jack. If he unlocks the bombardment, that will be huge as this game goes on. Looney tagged up, challenging with 1 bullet to go, and he will fall at the hands of Mad Cat. So Mad Cat keeps him just at Trinity Rockets when it comes to score streaks so far.
0. 4-9 start from him. If you remember, if you tuned in back on day 1, what a terrible, terrible start he had to this weekend. Something that he just wanted to forget. He did much better on day 2, but still, this is a little bit more of a showing that we saw back to start the weekend. Can't have that today when they're trying to clinch that first spot.
Looney has switched back over to the SMG. This is what he's been so deadly with throughout the tournament. And here he finds 1 long-range shots, gets the help from Vicento, who gets the double.
No.
Looney survives, turning, trying to pick up the final shots, and Mad Cat is going to get shown some extra loving.
Yeah, that's deserved. That's deserved right there. What a start from Looney. Mad Cat, he was 1 bullet, my friend. You gotta clean that kill on up. 150-57. Splyce's breakout woes continue. Everything going right for Rise. It's incredible, Chris, what happens when you finally outslay your opponent in a respawn game.
And this is the potential we've seen from Rise. This is exactly the way they looked against E-United in the first halves of both of their hard points, where they were in total control. What worries me is Rise has shown the ability to just fall apart. As soon as they lose the pressure on the map, individually they start running in, and the whole team just unravels. Together, they're a powerhouse, but when they start separating, that's when we've seen other teams take advantage of it.
That's a good point to bring up. When I caught up with Vicento after their first series loss the weekend earlier on, the first thing he mentioned was, you know, Jack, when things just started not going our way, we stopped playing to our advantages. We stopped playing to what our game plan was. We got too frantic, and because of that, we gave up those big leads to E-United back on day 1. Breakout is another map where that's absolutely possible for Splyce to do it. They are now in control. If they can continue to wake up these gunfights, especially Zero, who was 4-11, now 8-12, I think they have a chance.
And honestly, you look at Splyce's numbers, they have 85 points total. I'd bet about 80% of them are coming from the cell block. This is where they controlled it on the first rotation. A fantastic hold the second time around. Where Splyce loses control, though, it's the graveyard. They failed on their flank last time. What is going to be the opening strategy to break Rise's setup here?
I think there was just a misplay by Bance. We didn't get to see it on our screen, but he pinched towards that, you know, grave side before his teammates were even ready to flood the spiral area. Because of that, he dies. The rest of Rise Nation can then turn and focus their attention towards Medical Bay. They have full peace of mind that their flank is covered for the moment. Thankfully, Jerd now taking over that pinch should give them a 3v1 inside the hard point. Finally, it does happen, but you know, that was 20 seconds that went over to Rise Nation that Splyce could have had.
Rise is closing in on the 200 mark. Meanwhile, Splyce trying to fight their way back into this game. Still have 30 points to gain on the graveyard. Nice opening pick by Zero. Mad Cat, though, is going to be taken out and now come into score streaks. Looney has used the Trinity Rockets, but Rise should break. Only Jerd left up in the hill.
Perfect job from Mad Cat. He realizes players are about to start flooding. Instead of him charging into the hard point, he lets them run at him, picks up the 2-piece of the NV4. This is the game for me now, Chris. Who will get these back helipad spawns? It's a 3v2 number advantage for Splyce. You see Vicento on your mini-map trying to trail these players. Yeah, he's not going to get there quick enough. Splyce should get these gunfight wins, and here is that comeback we talked about. They're starting to wake up, and it shows in the scoreboard.
I thought Rise was going to be able to win the last battle from Caves. Instead, they get overrun, and not only that, Looney was your sole anchor. He gets pinched by 2 players, while Bance is doing dirty work for Splyce on the front end. A perfect pinch, control of the map, and it is Splyce now. Closing this within 55. Felony gets into the hill after using the score streaks, and Rise, just like that, they get back into contention. Zero, the last player up here for Splyce. Can he control the spawns? No, look how far away those yellow arrows are.
Ooh, that break was big for Rise Nation. That's now a 75-second lead again. They're being saved right now from the slaying and score streaks they earned earlier on. Still having that Trinity Rocket force the players into awkward positions from Splyce. It let Rise Nation 3-man hit the outer wall run. Their lead back up to 90 seconds. It was looking sketchy there for a second, but some good uses of score streaks and some clutch kills in the back helipad area have rebuilt this lead for Rise.
We talk about Splyce's strength in the cell block, but this center hardpoint, the central rooftop, it's been all Rise. Bant so far, clearing the way though. Nice job on loading. Is going to find 3 and rotate his way around to the wall run. Meanwhile, his teammates with total control of the center. You just saw Aqua winning a big gunfight though, and that's going to open things up here for Rise.
Jerd still trying to fight for middle control. Unfortunately overwhelmed now. Rise Nation pinching from every single area. They can win off this hill as well, which makes this a hell of a lot more awkward for Splyce. In their opinion, they would love to be able to set up for cell block again. You talk about the money hill for them so far this map. This is looking quite grim for the European Stage 1 champions. I just don't see how they're going to be able to mount this comeback now.
And we officially will see one more hard point. Cell block is next. Splyce not out of this one yet. They need a full 60 here. Rise is going to take them to the edge, soaking up every last second on that central rooftop. And now, how perfect can Splyce close out this game?
This is a tall, tall order. Literally 100 seconds the difference. Only 7 seconds needed for Rise. Mad Cat does clean up 2, so the mid lane now covered, but the spawns picked up by Rise Nation. Thankfully, they will get 0 to spawn close middle map, who can now pinch that, outer wall run area. 243 to 159 now the score. Mad Cat and crew just trying to clear Rise Nation out of the backside of the map.
I was just looking at the numbers, and look what Looney has been doing in this game, Jack. 25 and 11.
That's GG.
The man is on fire. The break comes through. Only Jerd left to contest. He's got to buy so much time for his teammates to come off the respawn. Jerd finding 2. He's keeping this game in a stalemate, at least for now. 0 immediately shut down. It's Looney still inside causing problems. Jerd, the one-man army, is going to force this into another hill, it looks like.
If somehow Splyce do actually come back and win this map, it's because of the play Jerd just made. He needs these streaks, though. He needs to earn Trinity. I want to see him get close cave here and lay down. Yes, I absolutely love this play. He winds up getting the capture time as well. No payloads as of right now. Rise Nation, they are going and investing in a full flank. They want a perfect break. We'll see if it pays off. 250 to 183. This is still possible.
Scarab is going to push back one player. Rise starting to stabilize. They're all going to try and push together. Ficento and Aqua doing the damage.
Why is he
Jerd challenges, and Vance is the last one in the hill. Just like that, Rise pinches in and will take game number 1, 250 to 196. As they win a respawn, Jack, and they do it in game number 1 here in the best of 5.
That is exactly what they needed to do, and when you look at Search and Destroy, really Rise's best S&D of the weekend, the only one they've won, if I'm not mistaken, was against Splyce in 6-1 fashion on Crusher. That's the Rise Nation we expected to see this weekend. They do close it on out. Was getting a little sketchy at the end. Some questionable play calls, though, from Splyce on that final hill. I wanted to see Jerd kind of lay down at that close wall, let the player run in over him, because he had a teammate at Dozer, so they wouldn't expect him in there as well. Doesn't really work out there either way. 1-0 lead now for Rise Nation.
I got to give massive props to Aqua, who had a really slow start. He got back into the game. Looney, though, the captain of this team, he was the star through and through. You saw him with an NV4 at times, running the E-Red. He finishes close to double positive. Meanwhile, you have Ficento also putting up positive numbers. The guy I'm still concerned about, though, is Felony for Rise Nation. Great start. He ends up being about 8 and 5 after 2 hills, and then you see him finish massively negative. He fell apart as that game went on.
It's just a struggle that Felony's had so far this weekend. I'm wondering if it's something about their play style right now, the weapons that are being used, where he's currently at in his head. I mean, this is a guy that, from what I see, at least on social media, he's someone that grinds a lot. Rise Nation, though, more of a kind of close team that keeps things to themselves when it comes to practice and how they prepare for events. Look at cell block, 111 to 14. But outside of that, Splyce gets smoked on every other hill.
Splyce had no answer for the central rooftop. You let your opponent score 94 points there, the most in the game on one of the highly contested hills for breakout. But looking at the numbers, Mad Cat continues to impress into day 2. He finishes with 21 kills. Looney, though, the double positive man, drops a 2.0 to give his team the win.
Looney, day 1, he was a player that impressed. Looney, day 2, a player that, wound up struggling, and the analysts talked about it a little bit prior to the day starting on up. Now on day 3, looks like he's going back into form from what we saw earlier this weekend. Looney is someone that when they formed this team and when he was the new fourth for this, the core three of, Aqua, Facento, and Felony, he was supposed to be their main answer in Respawn game modes. They need stuff like that from him every single hardpoint. Simple as that. He needs to put up crazy numbers.
We'll keep our eyes on Rise as this series continues. Remember last time they matched up against Splyce, it was 6-1 on Crusher. This time around, we're going to Retaliation. Jack, when you're comparing the two maps, we know we're playing the same game mode, Search and Destroy. How do these two differ from Crusher now into Retal?
Well, one thing we know from Crusher, right, is that there are some play calls you can wind up making and some retakes that teams like Luminosity are one of the best at, where you give up a site, wind up just watching crosses, playing mind games with your opponent, and retaking. Retaliation is one where there's definitely sniper presence available, but you don't think about it too much, but E-Rads can actually completely command this map, especially in top hotel hallway. Those gunfights are going to be key for me. E-Rads are going to be the theme throughout this entire weekend, as well as this series, as after this we head to Frost, again, another map that Splyce love to get up and close in your face with. Here's the situation for Rise Nation for me. They're now up 1-0. They've won their worst game mode at Hardpoint. They've already beaten Splyce once this weekend in Search and Destroy. They've got to do it again here. And then at least they can go into Uplink up 2-0, going into their best game mode that they've had a 50% win rate so far in this yellow group. Let's see if Rise Nation can potentially 3-0 sweep.
Rise only had one really impressive Search and Destroy, and it was against Splyce. But looking at the numbers, Aqua a 1.3. Everyone else a 0.65 or below. So the other players not getting kills. We saw him blown out in a number of games. Looney looking to open things up here for Rise Nation, has cleared out the A bomb site, forcing player number 8, Mad Cat, back. But Splyce, they're going to be rotating to the bridge as Facento is going to try and clear the way with Felony at the lower street.
So these are the mind games I talk about on a map like Retaliation. They show some players towards that top bridge area. Splyce overcommit towards rotating. And because of that, Felony catches Bance while he's going from that bottom bikes area over towards Market Stairs.
Looney pre-firing, doesn't finish the kills. Felony can't get it done. It's Mad Cat and Jerd instead, now giving Splyce the one-man advantage.
Oh my God. The second Facento gives it up. He's now going to be dead here momentarily. Yep, I can hear them all yelling the call-outs. Look at Facento, he's just trying to stay alive. Yeah, now dead.
Where did it go wrong for Rise Nation? Was it Looney not getting an intro kill? Was it Felony helping too late?
I don't agree with the challenge from Felony to fight Mad Cat inside bar. He tried to slide through the window, awkwardly hip fire his NV4. I get where his goal was, right? Maybe he could catch a timing on Mad Cat. Mad Cat was also running an NV4, so it's kind of an NV4. It's not like he has an E-Rad. But there, you have plat control. You've got the bomb down. You've got the number advantage. There's no need to fly out and challenge a 1v1 gunfight where there's no trade.
Speed didn't pay off in that scenario at Splyce on the attack. Bomb in the hands of Bance. Jerd and Mad Cat, perfect 2-0 to open up this game each.
Again, Rise, they keep favoring this top plat area, which I've got to love. Look at how, passive now Splyce have to play when they've got no control of this area. Looney just soars on through with the E-Rad. It's a 3-on-3 now as the kill trade does come in.
Jerd's going for the low wall run, and Aqua has no idea. Perfect flank, Splyce baiting, and Jerd punishing. Now the bomb is moving up. There's only one player to stop it. It's going to be Felony who gets one. It's on Jerd, so bomb still in the hands of Bance, and this is going to put a lot of pressure on Facento, the last one up for Rise.
And he sees at least one, so he's got some information. Now Zero returns fire. Doesn't actually take any damage from that. The one bullet did connect with the rear guard, so couldn't feel free to challenge yet again. Bance gets caught rotating. Now it's a one-on-one. Why is he so far ahead of his teammate there?
Does Facento know the bomb is down? That's the big question here. He is waiting for a push from Zero, has no idea where Zero is at on the map.
20 seconds left as well, so I mean, at this point, you just check a site. You rotate towards the other.
It's one-on-one, though.
Oh my God, the timing right there for Splyce doesn't get much better than that.
Zero peeks the door. Facento looking the other way.
Look at that. He's watching, and caught timing.
That's twice. Two rounds for Facento. Has the shot lined up, looks away just as the Splyce player pushes around the corner. So Splyce now up 2-0. You see Felony talking over the strategy with the squad. A little bit of nerves being shown here on the main stage.
When we did our listening in Search and Destroy yesterday, Rise Nation was one of the teams in the game, and TP was not happy when he heard their strategy for round B. Just play for picks, because I completely agree with him. Their strategy is what? Just hide and hopefully we can get a free kill. There's no other follow-up to that. What if we don't get a pick? What do we then do?
It's a panic strat.
Yeah, I'm wondering as this game goes on, do they just get to a point where they start to say, just play for picks, and then it really falls apart from there?
Zero is singled out, and he will be executed by Facento. Zero did not pick up that kill on stairs, so Rise had a man advantage. Mad Cat, though, makes it a 3-on-3. Jerd's coming in to give Splyce the advantage. And things are looking rough for Rise. They're just waiting for the pinch coming from player number 8, Mad Cat, on your mini-map.
Yeah, they've got to go. Now Jerd gets challenged. Looney starts spraying at the bomb because they think someone might be on it because they haven't seen Jerd. And just like that, Mad Cat's pinch pays off. That's frustrating if you're on the side of Rise Nation. I'm trying to think of why they planted exactly where they did, because they can't watch it from top market. That's why Looney had to slide out and panic shoot at the bomb.
I think Zero was there when they were planning, so they really didn't have the option to plant for the market.
Yeah. You see right there, being blocked out. Unfortunate stuff right there. Splyce now running away with game 2, looking a little bit more composed in Search and Destroy against Rise Nation this time around.
There's a look at Zero. Splyce cruising in this Search and Destroy after getting blown out on Crusher. Retal is a totally different story. Jerd on your screen has been right there with Mad Cat 4-1 this whole game.
Chris, you mentioned 3 players on Rise coming to this matchup had below a .65 SNDK. Is that a collateral?
That's a 2-for-1.
Okay.
That's how you turn things around.
That is.
We're gonna shut up and watch Facento.
Nice shot right there. I think did he hit the other guy through the door? I'm confused.
Oh, and another timing. Almost gets the turn on. Aqua is there for the trade, but it's just Zero left alive.
It's an easy kill. 1v2. On your minimap, you see Rise Nation players quite far spread from each other. Now they'll begin the pinch in from both sides. Gonna challenge Felony, gun him as well, and Looney's nowhere to be found. From a 1v3 down to a 1v1. Still winnable, ton of time left.
Zero has already clutched a 1v1. Is he gonna do it again, this time against Looney?
He needs to get eyes on, nope, he's dead.
Looney with the E-Rad has the preferred weapon, and he is gonna play this one perfectly. Spots him, baits him out, finishes the kill. And Rise Nation, they're on the board.
Nice job by Looney right there.
All you need is a collateral every round, and you are going to beat Splyce here on Retail.
1 bullet, 2 kills. Doesn't get better than that. Rise Nation now on the board. That's all it took. Was Facento to snipe the top hotel hallway. That was actually a dirty shot.
Aggressive maneuver as well on the defensive end.
Oh, yeah. Well, remember what I said when this game started? That's going to be Rise Nation's goal. They want to flood that with E-Rads. They want, and as well as Splyce, they both want that patio control.
Uh-oh, Looney's in trouble. Or is he? Finds the first kill. Forces back the second player, and he's going to escape with his life. No one in position to chase him down as he had cover set up anyway.
Oh, that's big.
Jerd is spotted 2, though.
That is big from Jerd. At least
Aqua.
Size 1 on, but Aqua, he's ready for it. Jerd's been doing that all game. He's been shooting Aqua in the back. You think of that top bridge area. So what does Aqua do? He turns around, make sure he's not trailing. Beautiful shot from Facento. Sniper remains hot.
This is Facento from Advanced Warfare. Chance Facento.
Oh.
The boy is bringing out all the toys. Sniper this time missing wide right. Zero left with the NV4. It's a 1-on-3, and he will be cut down by Aqua, who picks up 2. Rise climbing their way back into this game. They already lead 1-0 in the best of 5 after taking the hard point. Will they be able to take a 2-0 victory here?
So that was a great play by Looney right there, and some solid communication from Rise Nation. Looney gets that first blood, winds up running out of bike, and you're wondering, you know, how does he have the confidence just to run right out of there and just begin to rotate? It's because he still has his teammate on this back cover near this tank, watching this exact angle towards top bedroom. As long as that's watched, Looney does not have to be worried about getting shot in the back. He knows this, and he gets away with his life.
Splyce being much more cautious when it comes to playing in the hotel. After Facento picked up 2 on the last defensive end, he has not been challenged yet.
Just shoot right through that doorway. Time for another collab. Oh, okay, he'll back on up.
Facento will back up and watch the bridge. Only Looney is over here at the B bomb site, and that's where Splyce is stacked up. Grenade goes out, injures 2, but Looney is half health, forced to back down.
Facento's gotta be worried about someone flying towards his top bedroom area. What a shot he'd have to hit here. Felony again, he's been up on plat the entire map. This time only gets a bullet into 1.
That call out was made though to Facento, so I wonder if Facento is going to be able to get a pick on the player that was scaffolding. It looks like Splyce is backing up for a flank from Madcat. Meanwhile, 2 players trapped on the stairs. They're going to push Looney, though. And Aqua will find Madcat. Bomb getting defused. And this is Rise with Bance and Jerd nowhere near it. Rise is going to get this one clear.
Absolutely love it. Hop the bomb again. Another scenario where players go towards market and you don't have the bomb planted for it. They have no way of checking it. He's perfectly behind cover. They read Splyce like a book right there. Heads up play from Rise Nation.
Aqua shut down, so no streaks, but the boy was heating up. Keep your eyes on Louis. Excuse me, Louis. Mix the letters around, it's fine. There's a lot of U's and L's and stuff in there.
But I want to say, Aqua was 0-3 when Splyce were up 3-0 on this map. Since then, Rise have won 3 rounds, and he's gone 6-2 overall. So you can see how much of an X factor he is for this team in Search and Destroy.
Felony's call-out's also a difference maker in that last round. We'll see how this one plays out as Felony is tagged up across the map by Madcat, who's holding down that graveyard area. And you're going to see Looney pushing, trying to get an angle. He has bomb, though, so if he falls, they will know exactly where this bomb is. Splyce should be able to defend it.
Here comes Looney. First blood on the Madcat, 4 versus 3. Jerd still playing inside curve. His goal, just try to kill the bomb planter.
He'll have FTL jump to get away to safety if needed. Jerd gets challenged. There's the FTL, but he's still punished by Felony.
Awkward play right there. Now Rise Nation, numerical advantage in the round, and they still have time to rotate.
It's a 2-on-3. Rise with the man advantage. Splyce opened this game up 3-0. Now Rise threatening to win 4 straight.
Can we swap to Looney very quickly? Can we swap to Looney? See where Looney's planting this? This is where the bomb is needed to be planted 2 or 3 different times for both of these teams so far this map. Rise can now see this from so many different areas. They can spot it from top patio. They can go in towards market. They can see it from bedroom. So many areas that they can re-peek from.
Uh-oh. Felony's Kanko was just spotted. Zero is on the hunt. He's running out of time. You hear Rise players saying, stay alive, and Felony backs down and gets the win.
It's simple as that. They're yelling, stay alive. So instead of them trying to play a trade there, he just starts running towards market because guess what he can do? Sit in that back cover on market where only his head can be seen, and he has full vision of the bomb. It's incredible what happens when you plant the bomb in the correct area.
Splyce starting to unravel here on the main stage.
Yeah, they've got to regain right now. That's 4 rounds in a row for Rise Nation.
Rise trying to sweep this one clear. They'll be back on the defensive end as Splyce attacks. Bomb back in the hands of Bance. Look at the payloads. Vicento is about 1.5 kills away from earning his camo. On the other side, Bance will just unlock it.
So I don't know what just happened from Rise there. I'll critique it after this round. Bance now with active camo down to a 1v2. Vicento earns a camo of his own as both players from Splyce just play towards scaffolding. Yep, nice round. So the point I want to bring up, Chris, is Looney winds up playing towards that top patio side. He's got 3 players in hotel hallway, but he's worried about his close bar window right there where Vicento just was. He has his back to scaffolding where his #1 threat is. I'm guessing that Rise just didn't get there fast enough to watch over bar. I'm not sure why his #1 priority was watching that close door when he was completely exposed to the lower street site, to both vans, as well as scaffolding. That's why he gets first blooded.
Aqua on your screen to open things up has now taken the lead on the leaderboard, 8-6. And remember, yesterday as we checked in on the S&D numbers, I believe Aqua was #1 out of all 16 players in the tournament. Felony with bomb, checks over at the A bomb site, top bridge, doesn't see anything. Rise stacking up first, they'll use the Scarab to scout.
Is Zero sniping from that back area? I'm not exactly sure. Tactical does go out.
He's been playing the ND4 here at the market quite a bit.
So now because they have no opportunity for market control, they've got to plant it safe, which means that they can plant it even with bedroom control not being there, but he stands up. He stands up as he finishes the plant, and Bance punishes because of it.
Camo was used, Looney running for his life, but Bance is on his heels. And Looney with the E-Rad almost punishes. Not gonna happen this time though. Splyce trying to put it on game point.
Aqua's still alive. Camo from Vicento as well. He checks the bomb. Bance now dead. The plays from Rise Nation. It's a 1v2. Aqua cleans him up. That right there is a swing round in my opinion. Nice job. Great use of payloads. Aqua stays alive with 3 players shooting at him on plat.
Over the last 6 rounds, Rise Nation has won 5. A big clutch there by Aqua and Vicento to close things out. The camo was used by both teams.
Brilliant camo.
This is going to hurt Splyce. What do you have in the tank? Is Zero close to that reactive?
No. Another quiet game from Zero. That has been the biggest difference so far. Aqua payload down. That should be the Centurion. That's going to watch their hotel flank that Splyce have hit multiple times on offense. Jerd now dead. 4 versus 3. Rise to close out the map.
First blood and almost second blood as Aqua was 2 bullets away. Zero is going to get chased down by Looney, but Bance is there to trade out. Mad Cat and Bance left in a 2-on-3. Splyce hopes on the line right here.
And look, Rise can stack this side of the map and have full knowledge that there's no hotel pinch coming on through. If Mad Cat would tried to flank, on that quick window, he would have ran right into the Centurion that's on the other side of this hallway.
49 seconds, so still plenty of time here for Splyce.
Felony should spot these players.
Rise is going to force them to make the move. And where they just spotted?
Yeah. What are their options? They have a Centurion blocking one side of the hallway. They're going to try to challenge this guy in the back. This is going to be a tough gunfight. They do gun Facento. 2 versus 2.
Mad Cat is bouncing around with half health. Doesn't know where the pressure is going to be coming from. Here's the gunshots, and he is tagged up huge. Bance is going to be beat down by Felony, and that's the game. Felony finds both as Rise jumps out to a 2-0. Their dreams of third place still alive. And you know Red Reserve is upstairs with E United watching this game, saying, all right, let's go, Splyce. Drop this series 3-0 to Rise. Make it easier for us today.
Wow. Rise Nation looking completely different now on day 3. You can just see the frustration on Zero's face. He knows he's having a rough series so far against the team that struggled the most in this group. This is not our Stage 1 MVP like we saw him just a few weeks ago.
I can't put my finger on what it is. We talk about how different teams match up well against each other. Well, Looney said it in his pre-match interview, saying, I feel like we are the counter to this Splyce squad. They didn't get the match win yesterday, but they dominated Search and Destroy. Just when it looks like Splyce is going to be the team to win a Search, it's been all Rise Nation the last 7 rounds.
I really want our analysts to talk about, after this series, the mind games and kind of being in your own head aspect of competitive Call of Duty. Like, the amount that we've seen from Zero with, you know, his superstition about getting his certain drink prior to a day playing, the clothes he's wearing from Stage 1. He's changed his reticle, I think, 2 or 3 times this weekend. The man's in his own head. He needs to snap out of it. Folks, right now we have Rise Nation up 2-0 over our Stage 1 champion, Splyce. Do not go anywhere. Uplink up next.
Welcome back. This is the yellow group. It is stage 2 of the Call of Duty World League GPL. Splyce, they are looking to lock in the #1 seed in their group. To do so, though, they need to start with the win over Rise Nation, and currently they're in the hole 0-2.
No matter what happens this weekend, Chris, people have begun to realize, you know, maybe Splyce aren't the far and away best team or aren't the top team in the world like we thought they would be. They've looked very shaky right now, not across, you know, just Hardpoint or just S&D, but every single game mode. They look vulnerable. They have a lot to work on when they get back home to Europe. Expect to see this team get back on the grind, especially before, if they make playoffs, which obviously they should.
Oh, yeah.
But still, a lot of worries if you're a Splyce fan right now from what you've seen this weekend.
Splyce is not a lock for playoffs, though. Keep in mind that Red Reserve is still in the hunt. We get a chance to see them against EU United and then Rise Nation later in the day. So a lot of pressure on Splyce today. Mad Cat opens up 4-1. But, Jack, you were talking about Splyce and some people considering them the top team in the world. When you look at their last 2 tournaments where they had great success, they were shaky. They went to a lot of Game 5s, group stages, playoffs. Splyce was never perfect. And then at Anaheim, you saw some of the holes in their game, especially exploited by Luminosity in the grand final. Felony misses the first toss of the game. The score remains 0-0 as Splyce gets a bit lucky there.
I'll be honest, that was the worst throw I've seen in stage 2. That was not even remotely close. He missed by like 10 feet.
Did you not watch Mind Freak?
Oh, God.
All right, we're just going to keep going here. Minute 30 off the clock. Here comes Splyce on their first real attack. Jerd trying to pave the way. You got Bance with the double kill, Mad Cat with the drone, and he is going for the safety shot. Up and over, and just like Felony, he is going to miss big.
That is the worst shot I've seen in stage. That one's a little bit tougher than the one Felony tried to hit earlier. But so far, we're 2 minutes into the game, and we have 2 botched 1-point throws. So that's your expectation for how the rest of this map should play out.
Maybe their depth perception's off a little bit. Just got to fix it.
There we go.
Adjust as the game goes on. Felony tries again. All right, get this boy glasses.
All right, it is time. Let's move on over to Game 4 Hardpoint. Please, just get us out of this uplink.
It is still 2-0 as we load up Game 4. Yeah. We'll just call this a draw.
I'm a little confused. Are they like trying to score the wrong portal so it's just floating through? I don't know how you missed that.
Do you think it's nerves, Jack? Is there that much pressure on these players? Are they rushing the toss?
Listen, Chris, I get nervous when I play a match for $1, you know, against no-name kids online. These guys are trying to get top 2, obviously, especially on the side of Splyce to qualify for playoffs. They've got a $1.5 million champs coming up. I don't even want to know what the nerves are like for these players.
Jerd working with Mad Cat, trying to clear out this bunker, and you will see Vicento diving in and out with the ERAD. Finds 0 shots in a second, and there's a beatdown to open things up. Bance and Splyce throwing the drone out. Aqua, the only player from Rise Nation here. And he's going to scoop it up as his teammates try and surge into the Splyce base. They're going to go for the loop through sub, but they're going to now need a second round of kills.
All right, here they go. They've got the pinch. They've got multiple players dead. This should be a dunk. There it is. Rise Nation now on the board after 2 missed ones.
And great teamwork there. The whole squad was involved in that play.
Zero starts this game 2-10. Now 4-10 after that quick 2-piece there to clear Rise out of his base. But this was a map that we always thought he would struggle on because of his lower sensitivity and the extreme aggression that's shown. He actually did well on it back in stage 1. Now, not the case here.
If you are keeping track of the missed plays, the score now should be 4-2.
Yep.
Still in favor of Rise Nation, but it's a 1-possession game instead. Splyce trying to work their way to the drone, but they need to get kills first. You see the split spawns, 0 on the opposite side of the map from Mad Cat. Now it's Bance spawning up with Jerd, but no one is there. Trade's going out, so no push here that will score for Rise Nation. Vicento's on a flank, though.
In the grand scheme of things, the kill Looney got onto 0 just prior to that push from Rise. You know, it would only show us 1 kill in the scoreboard, but if 0 won that gunfight, he would have started to earn streaks. So his 5 streak now over. No streaks for Splyce yet in this game. 45 seconds left inside 1. And Rise, they got a dunk the last time they pushed through ship bay. You might as well do it again.
I was just watching Vicento for the last 40 seconds, and if this was Pac-Man, he would be dominating. He went through every lane, but never saw an opponent. Finally, when he spots Jerd, he's melted into short corridors. Aqua's going to open up a 2-piece here for Rise. Bance trying to answer back. Looney is in the feed, though, and that's 3 straight kills. Now they find the carrier. Everyone from Splyce back on spawn. Here comes Rise Nation.
Rise Nation, they want to get another point on the board prior to side 2 kicking off. They have a lead blocker in Aqua. He's able to clean up Bance. Now Vicento going through research. They're not ready for this on the side of Splyce. Potential interception here. The dunk though going on up. Nice job by Rise. They'll go into the half up by 3 as Looney continues to lead this team in Slay.
Looney just with the ERAD. He's been the difference maker in the respawns. Game number 1, double positive. The captain stepping up big here on a day 3. But I've been most impressed by Rise's teamwork. Normally that thing that I've always been kind of hating on them for, the lack of trades, it's paying off in Frost Uplink. They're all spreading out. They're winning their 1v1s, and they're crashing in with the drone.
One thing I do have to say is Aqua yesterday, after their series versus Splyce, it was what dropped Rise to 0-3, immediately got on Twitter and said, something along the lines of like, feel like I'm practicing for nothing, tired of this sort of thing. Well, apparently it lit a fire under them, at least for the rematch against Splyce, because they look like a completely different team now on day 3. Where was this the first 2 days of matches? Where was this?
I mean, against E United, you have to argue that Rise should have won that series. In fact, they should have been able to close it out 3-0, some say. But Rise, they are truly showing their form here against Splyce. Splyce, you got to be worried about here on day 3. Jerd, -4, 0, back into positive numbers, though on the flip side of things, is starting to heat things up.
Now, this shakes things up big time. You know, if you're an E United fan, you're happy to see a potential Splyce 3-0 here for the outcomes it could lead to as the day goes on. That will be our final match of the night as well, Splyce versus E United. Bance and Mancat with a few kills. Vicento's last alive, just trying to slow down this drone. Unfortunately, he's now dead. All the way. Oh, how far pushed up was Bance right there?
He was in their base. He's touching their stuff. 3-person push. Drone is in between. 0, the lead blocker falls. 1-point toss goes up. It's not intercepted. Just shy of grabbing that one was Looney.
That's a shot I like a lot. Most times you see players expose themselves and go for the high throw. This time he takes that lower wall run. Basically no chance for him to get shot, and just throws on in the 1, brings it back to a 1-possession game.
And a lot less time for the defenders to set up to intercept. So good attack from Splyce makes it a 1-possession game. As you said, a dunk will tie things up. A Rise Nation, they know all they have to do, just tack on a 1 here. Instead, they go with the overdrive, and Aqua will fall inches short. But you still have Vicento working with Looney in the base, and Felony is going to throw it down. The 3rd player survives and scores here for Rise.
So because Aqua pops the overdrive there, he forces all the Splyce players to begin to shoot at him. Great, they do a great job of killing him off, but the 3 other Rise Nation players who are there not only for the trade, but for the offensive play and that 4-man push, wind up killing the rest of Splyce. They've now got 8, make it 9 uncontested kills. The drone's back in ship bay. This is 6 points in 25 seconds.
Ridiculous run. It was blood red in the kill feed. Rise pouncing on their opponents.
More streaks too.
And now you got Felony dropping bombs from the sky. The missiles are going to land. Vicento won't be able to round the corner, though. A big kill coming by Mad Cat. Aqua staying on fire. He's on another 4 streak here inside the base. The toss goes up. 0 will intercept it, but still, 4-possession game now. You need 4 dunks if you're Splyce, and you only have 2 minutes and 30 seconds to tie this up.
I'm just shaking my head right now in frustration. Where was this Rise Nation team, man? I just can't stress it enough. It's too little too late at this point. You know, their destiny has already been sought out with not making it into playoffs.
Champs is huge, though.
I know.
Remaining, just thinking about the teams that you could avoid, most likely Luminosity, maybe a Splyce or an Optic Gaming, United even, in that final 4 as we get to playoffs. Looney gonna fall. Splyce surging out of the base, but this is taking so much time. That was 30 seconds with no movement of the drone.
Yep, and still they're doing a great job of prioritizing ship bay, cut off the fastest route for a score. Mad Cat might be able to sneak on through, but Looney cuts him down. Some great shots there. The base now clear. Take this towards Cliff. Get this as far away as possible. Hit that lower outer wall run, reset the drone off the map. I love this from Rise Nation, just immediately pushing it as far away as possible from their base.
Game's not done for Splyce. 90 seconds left before this is an official 3-0 in favor of Rise Nation. You have payloads to pop. Mad Cat with the overdrive. 0 working towards that reactive pass, gets stuck on the wall. Jerd grabs it, dunks it through, has to use the FTL. Minute 13, you need 6 more dunks, but we saw Rise. They scored 3 of them in about 30 seconds.
Yeah, they need 6 more points, not 6 dunks, don't worry.
Sorry, 3 more dunks, 6 points.
For a second, I was like, oh gosh, 6 more dunks, here we go. They got to turn up right now, but no, 6 points, 1 minute, still possible. They have a payload advantage, but the big thing is Vicento has camo, and we've actually seen, you know, Karma, even on this map before, pop his camo just as a way to run the drone away from his opponents. Not even go for a score when you have a lead like this. Now Vicento looks to add insult to injury. He wants to shut the door here.
Yeah.
The 1-point play might just be enough. I think it is a 7-point lead now for Rise, Chris. They're about to 3-0 our Stage 1 champions.
This is so brutal for Splyce. You came in thinking, all right, this is our day. We took the #1 seed. Going into day 3 against Envy. Envy stole it from us at the end. Now Splyce, they're going to find themselves in a hole, having to work out against Red Reserve or United for that top spot, fighting from the back foot.
There you have it. Rise Nation will take their first series victory of the weekend. It took 5 matches, but finally they'll get it done. The swift 3-0 over Splyce, as finally they begin to show their true colors. Splyce could never seem to get everyone firing on all cylinders there.
And Rise just showing you their potential. When it comes champs time, you can never count out players like Vicento, Aqua, even Felony last year putting on a show for us. What will they be able to do this year wearing Rise jerseys? Splyce, though, your Stage 1 champs, they're looking like a bit of a weaker team here in Stage 2, Jack.
It's funny, I see Maven getting ready up there to probably interview Vicento, but we've been doing those loser interviews after the first series when they, have their second round robin and want to hear from the players. I think basically you had Felony do one, Looney do one, Vicento do one. It's probably nice now to see them get on stage for one of the big winner interviews.
They get to do one on the main stage,
yes.
Right? Well,
moving up.
Rise their hopes and dreams of finishing 3rd. They're still in the running right now. They'll play Red Reserve to close out their weekend. Best of luck to them in their 3rd match.
I don't know what's going on with Splyce. But
I was trying to do all the numbers of what's going to happen in the pool. We'll get to that later. I'll let Benson and the crew break it down. For now, we got Maven on the stage with Vicento.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right, I know this is a little bit bittersweet. It's been a tough weekend, but you avoid the fate of an Elevate Millennium. You've got to win on the board. Can we just talk about first what's sort of gone wrong with the team this weekend?
I think it was energy level. We didn't bring enough energy to our matches in the beginning. Well, if you watch like the first match, we went up so much and our energy was so high, and when things started to not go our way, we kind of died down on that, and I think that was our problem. Yesterday I had a really bad day, so that was probably on me. Other than that, I think we did just show like what we really can do if we do bring the right energy to the match.
Well, we talked about it. You have 3 teams here that won championships this year, and last year, this is when your team really excelled, right? You were pretty much guaranteed a top 3 finish through Anaheim, Orlando, champs. You guys were exploding. We knew what you were capable of. How important is it to you to kind of show that in this series by 3-0ing, recent champion in Splyce?
Yeah, I mean, going 0-6 would literally just be disrespectful to our careers, so we're not going to allow that to happen. Hopefully we can pull out another win next match.
Well, now I guess the focus for you guys mostly, you're kind of fighting to see if you can get that 3rd place spot, but the focus has to be towards champs. We know what you guys are capable of. We know how good you can be. After this weekend, I guess, how do you make sure you work back to that form, that potential you have?
Just what I said, just going 150 every match and for 10 minutes and wanting to win. I think that's our only problem.
All right, man. We got one more. Thanks, buddy. Good 3-0 there over Splyce. Ben, guys, break it down.
Thank you very much, Maven. Great to hear from Vicento on that main stage as well. A big win for them. Keeps them alive in terms of that fight for 3rd place. If they had lost that matchup, they would have been guaranteed to walk away with 4th place, the bottom seed there. So a little bit of pressure, but unfortunately for Rise, it still isn't in their hands. They are actually now going to have to rely on Red Reserve to lose that next matchup for them to have any chance at taking 3rd. So I'm sure they're going to be in the player lounge watching that with their fingers crossed. But we'll break down that last series, of course. 3-0 to Rise. They finally wake up. And it's funny, Merc, because that's almost what we really expected to see day 1.
Threat, man. They are a very high threat, and we finally saw it. And I mean, you did see it day 1 yesterday, not so much. I feel like they were just so distraught after their first couple of series, and as soon as it started going bad, and it almost happened in this game #1. Yeah. We saw it happen. They come out so hot, but as soon as they have to break a hill or break a setup, things go wrong for them in Hardpoint. Luckily, on that Commissary Hill, that second one, they had a Trinity rocket. Looney was able to pick up 2 in the back. That allowed them to sort of excel forward. But again, Rise Nation, we've known for so long that they've always had it. They have a few top 3 finishes this year. They're a champion for a reason. Right. Finally, they put a great game together.
Of course, Splyce did wake up a little bit towards the mid-game, Momo, but it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, there was a bit of a moment where you kind of, thought is Splyce getting back into it. They break Cell Block. They take pretty much everything from Cell Block. They break Grave. They took, that second rotation of Grave, and then they broke Commissary. It's like, this is 3 in a row, but like Joe said, Trinity Rockets came in. What Rise had done in the first 5 minutes was just too much to handle. And credit where credit is due. Rise Nation, they came in, they closed it out. Vicento kind of said they need to be going 150 the whole time, and I think they really did that. And for once, you know, Rise is slaying. You know, this is what we expect.
We saw obviously a little bit of day one Looney and Vicento teat, but for me watching, I hate to throw players under the bus, but Zero, it just hasn't been our MVP-like performance that we expect to see from him.
It kind of looks like lazy play from him overall. He is using that NV4, and it seems like a lot of time on that breakout specifically, he's getting caught out in positions that he should not be in. Where he's like that second or third guy in the cell block, for example. Granted, they won the hill by a lot, but the fact that he's having to slide in and be put in these close quarter scenarios with that weapon just doesn't seem to be working out too well with him. So I'm not sure if that's just sort of how the game played out in the scenario for him, but the whole weekend, it seems like his positioning's just been a little bit off. And then just to knock on Rise a little bit, the reason that they're letting these comebacks happen so often is on their rotations. When they lose control of the hill, they over challenge on those, you know, the last 10 seconds of the previous hill. Right. They end up spawning out, and they let that happen time and time again. So they just need to slow it down and group up a bit more in rotation.
Yeah, I think just touching based on Zero, I think he's just in his own head a little bit. Even just after the game, he just sort of tweeted, I don't know what's wrong with me. Every game we see him with a different reticle, just trying to figure it out. I mean, he was one of the best, even in Anaheim, he was one of the best players in the world. And it's just, I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it's not in your head. You just have to play your game, just make those adjustments. Play for kills sometimes. Maybe he's just trying to do too much. Sometimes it happens. Slow down.
Yeah, he's on his 4th reticle. He's added the pink
You're counting, you're keeping track.
He starts with the pink dots, he's been great with it. He goes to the blue dot, then he goes to some weird yellow cross, and then it's back to some 2 lines and a... Just Zero. Just go back to the 3 pink dots, you are fine. Don't worry about it, and just play your game.
It's funny to me to see players kind of mentally get themselves...
I think it's the worst thing you can do.
In a little bit of a rut almost, because it's a placebo effect. It's a dot. It doesn't matter what you play with.
I think the biggest thing is positioning. A lot of time when you're using an NV4, our top NV4 players in the league thus far, they kind of bait their teammates. They sit back, they shoot from range. He's so good at retail on bridge, for example, because he can just post up at that sort of backside of bridge and shoot over his teammates. I don't see him doing that as much. He needs to slow it down, focus on a kill first with an NV4 specifically, and don't be so frantic. That's what I see.
It reminds me of the old school Call of Duty 4 argument in terms of camo, like blue tiger, red tiger, increase health, increase damage. It doesn't exist. It doesn't. It's just how your gun looks. But hopefully we do see Zero improve a little bit. Of course, they still do have one final game to play. Moving forward, though, we'll talk about the search and destroy. Of course, it was retail. Rise take it 6-4. And Merrick, I think it's fair to say teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah, I mean, these first 3 rounds, you're like, uh-oh, here we go. Rise are sort of just throwing this away, but then they fight back. And it just seems like their communication, I think Vicento hit it right on the head. Their energy, you can hear them talking when they get into those sort of 2v2, 3v2 situations, those small skirmishes, they're figuring it out together. A lot of teamwork being used and a great comeback. Vicento, though, sort of leading that charge with that sniper rifle. Yeah. Again, he's comfortable. Play around your comfort levels as a team. We see a team like Evil Geniuses allow Nagafin to do that. You know, just try different things out, and this seemed to work out great for them.
Sniper definitely worked for Vicento. Of course, he picks up a collat as well early on in the game. Very impressive stuff from him. But for Splyce, Momo, it started off great, and then it just got super sloppy.
Yeah, that collat literally changed the game. They were 3-0 up. It was all going well. But Rise Nation just kind of, that first round that they got, they kind of just really fed off it, I think. And there was a lot of times where I do think there was a lot of sloppy play from Splyce. Good use of camo from both teams, I will say. You know, for once, the payloads were utilized very, very well. But I just think, again, it's not that same Splyce. I think sometimes it's just... I feel like when I watch them, I feel like they're playing like, oh, I'm just going to go and win this gunfight. You know, because, you know, is it, you know, yeah, we won stage 2. Yeah, we're the best team in the world. We're going to... They need to treat every team with the utmost respect. Like, Rise are a fantastic team. Yes, they were, you know, 0-4, but... anything can happen on the day.
Well, and the thing to me, the biggest round was that round number 9. Finally, Splyce wins round number 8, but then it's a 4v2 situation for Splyce, and they throw it away. Rise is able to get the bomb down. Vicento and Aqua do an absolutely beautiful job sort of working the map, working those market stairs, and that was the round where I think if Splyce wins that 4v2, they're up 5-4 instead. They probably are able to close out that game. A huge round difference in that map number 2.
For sure, Rise go 2-0 up, of course. Then we go to map 3, Uplink Frost, and it doesn't get any better for Europe Splyce. That's for sure. Rise take it 11-4. And TB, you kind of mentioned it earlier on, you know, Splyce looking a little bit lazy, but I feel like it was just emphasized so much more in map 3.
Oh, 100%. And early on in this one, you know, Rise misses those 2 early throws, and I lose full for a second just for them. Like, oh God, come on, Rise. This is your chance to really solidify the victory. Finally, they do it. But the biggest thing, specifically on the first half, is the fact that Splyce wasn't playing that sort of, I guess, good side correctly. When you spawn out towards that cliff side towards blue, they weren't fighting back towards blue. They'd send like 1 or 2 guys sort of staggered. The other guys would overextend. It was really a mess. It's a step-by-step process to get your base back. They weren't able to do it.
Right.
And like Momo said, it's like they're not respecting them. They're like, oh, let me just overextend and win the gunfight at ball. Well, you know, Rise is on fire today. They're winning a lot of gunfights. You're getting outslayed, and they just run away with it as they should for that sort of scenario.
And that 11-4, it should have been more. You know, on the throws that could have gone in and should have gone in. Felony, I don't know what was going on, but, you know, for once, Felony, you know, he did slay that map, and great. I honestly, I went into this map, even though Splyce were 2-0 down, I was thinking Frost Uplink, this is where they excel, this is their fast pace,
right.
This is where they go into it. And I was kind of looking at map 4 like, you know, is there a reverse sweep possible? And I just was so surprised time and time again. Teep talked about him overextending. It was like you know, the mics weren't working. You know, where the communications say, hang on a sec, we need to go back, guys. We need to just rotate. They're going to get another 2, 4 points. And how many times have we seen a relay of 3 dunks? You don't see it often in Foot Warfare. And to do it against the so-called top 2 team or best team in the world or whatever the Splyce are right now, it shouldn't happen. There should be something where Splyce go, let's go back, let's restart, regain, and then they go out and push. And it just wasn't there.
I think credit where credit is due as well to Rise Nation. We've seen so many teams kind of get to day 3 of the groups, and they just kind of, you know, they've had poor performance. They just roll over and die, for lack of a better phrasing. But Merc, we haven't seen that from Rise. Rise actually showing us what they're capable of.
No, I love it. I really do appreciate the tough work. They were the first team in here today. They were warming up. They sort of understand the situation. Did they have a bad couple of days? Yes. Is their year over? Absolutely not. And this is a great response from them. I mean, you heard Verseno. He feels like going 0-6 would have been an absolute just sort of threat to their careers. You know, they want to get better. They want to be in the best form possible at champs. So I respect the hell out of them. Same.
To reiterate, their chances of stage 2 playoffs gone. They don't stand a chance of that. But that 3rd seed is still a possibility. But for that to happen for Rise Nation, they need Red Reserve to lose that next matchup on the main stage against E United.